Hey guys, it's Silver Snorlax, and I am back with a review. Today I'm looking at the Transformer by Fireking. So, something I've dedicated a lot of my personal time to is finding ways to help collectors and ultimately the trading card and graded card communities as a whole to better safeguard and protect their collections and collectibles from various threats. More specifically than anything else, through a lot of the research that I've done, I've found that heat or fire protection is probably one of the most prevalent things that people have questions about. So that kind of brings us to the Transformer. What is it? What does it do? So the Transformer is a supplemental product. It's a product that is to be used in conjunction with something like a fireproof safe or a Class 350 container. If you're not familiar with what that term means, or what those terms even are, essentially if you go out and you buy a safe, it usually says that it's fire rated or it's fireproofed or something along those lines. However, it doesn't tell you specifically what the internals of the safe are allowed to hit, or if you have a fireproof container, what the internals of the container are supposed to hit. However, one thing you'll see thrown around every once in a while is the term Class 350 or UL Class 350. And what that means is that it's been approved, the internals of the safe have been approved, I should say, to hit a maximum temperature of 350 degrees for a various amount of time. They're all rated differently, but 350 degrees for the internals of the safe. For collectors, especially those that deal with graded cards or any kind of product that is maybe a little more sensitive to heat, this is extremely problematic. I've run several different experiments on this subject, and I have had usually the same result in terms of Class 350 containers. For example, I burned a Class 350 safe for an hour in my own backyard. It was a very goofy experiment. My neighbors thought I was nuts. But I got results like this, where the PSA slab was not only singed, it was warped, and the card inside was damaged. It's really not something I could send back to PSA and say, well, just slap a new case on it. The card is in fact damaged. It would need to be regraded, and it wouldn't grade as high as it had done previously. So I've done things like that. I've looked at UL Class 350 containers and just run them in an environment where the temperatures never exceeded 350 degrees. I got a result very similar to result 1. Again, 350 degrees, and a container rated at 350 degrees. And then I tried some direct heat experiments as well. I tried a slab at 200 degrees for 10 minutes. That was my result. You can see it's very warped. And then I did a worst case scenario. Raw card at 350 degrees for 10 minutes, and it was a disaster. Did not survive. So as I've done this experimentation, and as I've looked into different aspects of security, I have found that something that may help are something called media safes. They run at a temperature that is below 125 degrees when they're involved in a fire. They're Class 125 safes. They're also Class 150 as well. However, they're expensive, and their ability to secure a product isn't very high. So it was a bit of a dead end for me until I found the Transformer. The Transformer adds an additional layer of insulation when used in conjunction with a Class 350 safe, a very common thing. They add insulation to the point that they're considered Class 125. That's only a manufacturer making that claim. However, even with a 20% margin for error, that still puts the safe at 150 degrees, which is still below the melting point of all of the cards I just showed you, so you wouldn't see damage incurred on your collection or collectibles. So the Transformer definitely has its place, and it can be used for a lot of different things. For example, I keep some booster boxes inside here. These are my own personal booster boxes. I've got some first edition Gym Heroes. I've got a Neo Discoveries booster box in here. Evolution, because I just so happen to love the Evolution set. For me, this is a very large investment. This is probably $2 or $3 grand for me. I'm not much of a market guy, but it may be even more than that. For me, a $3 grand investment, if I were to lose that, would be catastrophic to me. It would be very, very difficult for me to recover from. $3 grand is about 10% of what I make in a year. So that's big if I can save something like that at a price point that's relatively cheap. Transformers, since they aren't actual safes, they're kind of a go-between between safe and fire-resistant container. these work really well. So that's definitely something that I thought was a really great investment idea. Buy a couple of these and they could help safeguard my collection. And obviously they're not just for booster boxes. I did want to take a moment and show you. Oh. There we go. Something I've been working on. This is another transformer. I just gave it a paint job. Cleaned her up, sanded it a little bit, added some felt pads at the bottom so it was easier to clean underneath. But here's the internals. Here I can keep tons of PSA graded slabs. Each box that I have here holds somewhere between 65 and 75 slabs. If every slab I had in here was $100, that's thousands and thousands of dollars. That's a huge investment for me. It's important for me to keep something like that safe. And since a fire-resistant safe doesn't offer that, having a supplemental product like the transformer is a very big deal. So it's kind of ideal for collectors to have an option to go to in terms of additional fire protection. So I've gone over a lot of the pros, the advantages, and the general mindset of what the transformer is made and used for, but I really haven't discussed too many of the cons that are involved with this. So what are they? First and foremost, the security aspect on a transformer is not very good. It's a simple key lock, and it just kind of stays in place. Very easy to open. There are hinges on the back. I'm not going to show you, but they're basically held in with screws. Very easy to beat. So security aspect, not high. But that is to keep in mind that this is a supplemental product. It is not to be used as a standalone product. You can't just throw your cards in here and say, okay, great, day is done, everything's fireproofed. It's really not. It has to be used in conjunction with an additional safe. So please keep that in mind when you look at a product like this. Additionally, transformers specifically by Fireking are a product that are no longer produced. If you go to Fireking's website, you look at all of their products, you'll notice that the transformers aren't there anymore. That's because they've been discontinued by manufacturer. You'll be lucky to find these used, and generally they're fairly expensive used. I found a couple on eBay for about $125 or so. Some don't have the key, some do, but you will pay out in order to find one of these and find them used. I know the ones I bought 5 of them at auction. I got really lucky. The ones I bought were definitely beat up, scuffed, scraped, marked up like crazy. That's why I gave mine a nice little paint job with high heat resistant paint to boot. I thought that was a good idea, but yeah, I gave it a paint job and just kind of had to kind of refurbish it a little bit, if you know what I mean. So they're used, they're hard to find, they're at a price point I believe is not bad. 125, 150, 200 bucks isn't bad for something like this. Your capacity is fairly low. That's the only thing I kind of worry about. Again, 75 cards for large inventory guys, that's definitely not enough. For guys who have smaller collections like myself, I only have a couple booster boxes, I only have a couple of slabs. It's kind of a big deal to be able to maybe maximize space as much as possible. So those are some of the cons that run with the transformer. But I do have some good news. I am actually in talks with another company currently to try and get some of their products. They actually make something very, very similar to the transformer. But I haven't gotten any samples from them yet, and I'm hoping to in the near future, but we'll see as we progress with them. So there are other companies out there that manufacture something similar to the transformer. They simply haven't marketed in the right direction, I guess would be the best way to put it. But once I do that review, if I get samples, I'll definitely let you guys know. Maybe we can chat a little more about how beneficial that could be to the community. So I think that kind of wraps up my generalized review for these transformers for now. If you guys have any questions about these, if you're curious, if you want to have your own security consultation with me, absolutely, feel free, reach out. I'll leave my email in the description. You can email me. But I did want to kind of run these by everyone, say, hey, look, here's something that's definitely beneficial to maybe smaller collector or somebody who just has some high value items that they need to protect from fire. So that's my intro. That's kind of my generalized review of the Transformer by Fireking. Again, feel free to reach out. Thank you a lot for watching, and I hope to do more reviews in the future.